Michael and I also want to acknowledge your son Jack, who's deployed today.
And do you think that the country will see the United States will see the first gay president or the first woman?
Absolutely.
And that's, that warms my heart, particularly as a Black man.
Well, what's on your mind? What do you want to know? What do you want to talk about?
All right, guys. So Obama decided he's not going to endorse Abigail Spanberger, but he's going to campaign against her opponent, which is a Black conservative woman. And now my nose is up in this. And now I want to talk about Obama. Okay. This is the guy that guilt tripped Black men into voting for Kamala Harris, an Indian woman, not even a Black woman. And he knew this and he still pushed this narrative. The same politician who built his entire image on identity politics just exposed that it was never about race. It's always been about serving their masters. But this isn't the first time Obama's identity have sparked controversy for over a decade now. Probably more than a decade. Rumors have been surrounded both Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, from questions about past relationships to speculations about who Michelle really is. Now, before we go any further, everything I'm about to mention in this episode is going to be alleged. I am not accusing anyone of anything. What I am doing is walking through why people think what they think. So why so many people believe that Michelle Obama might not be who she says she is, and why people believe Obama's sexuality isn't what it appears. Welcome back to the channel, guys. I am Carmen, Jaycee. If you're new here, make sure you hit the like or the subscribe button. Or if you want to support the channel, hit the super thanks or the buy me a coffee link below. Also, make sure you guys go ahead and drop a comment so we can stay in the algorithm. And I love to hear what you guys have to say. Let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so where do we start? So before Obama became the media's golden boy, he was just another name floating around Chicago. And in Chicago, there were whispers. People were calling him Bathhouse Barry because he allegedly used to hit gay bathhouses. That's where this story really starts. Okay, so let's go back to the 1990s, the late 1990s. That's when a man named Larry Sinclair claimed that he had a sexual encounter with Obama while Obama was a state senator. Now, at the time, Larry said that he didn't know who Obama was. He didn't know if he was a senator or a rising politician. He didn't know anything about Obama. He said he just hooked up with this guy because he was in town for a while. But here's the thing. Larry didn't go public until 2008. He started reaching out to the Obama's campaign in 2007, right after Obama began his presidential run. And when he finally came forward in 2008, this story exploded. It didn't explode because Obama made people in his campaign tell these media outlets that if they covered the story, that they wouldn't have access to his campaign. So obviously, the media didn't really cover it. Now, years later, in 2023, Tucker Carlson sat down with Larry Sinclair for a full interview. Same story, same details, and still no lawsuit from Obama. Let's go ahead and take a listen to what Larry Sinclair had to say about Obama. Take a listen.
So you said, I'm looking for someone to wake up. He knows you're referring to cocaine. I know where to get it. What happens next?
We get back in the limo. The driver takes us wherever it is that Barack had instructed him to take us. I had given Barack $250 to pay for coke. He gets out, comes back. I start putting a line on a CD tray to snort.
And you're in the limo?
Yep.
Driving or parked?
No, the driver's driving.
Yep.
I start to put a line on a CD tray, and I just happen to notice that he pulls something else out of his pocket. And next thing I know, he's got a little pipe and he's smoking. So I don't have an issue with it. I mean, some people smoke, some people snort.
Smoking the cocaine?
Yes. So as I'm doing a line, I just start, this is the part where you kind of make your move to see where things are going. So I just started rubbing my hand along his thigh to see where it was going, and it went the direction I had intended it to go. So the night became somewhat active sexually and drug-wise in the limo.
So you start rubbing his leg, and I think, I'll just be totally blunt with you, like a man who's not into gay sex would be like, whoa, settle down.
Trust me, if it was something that you were not interested in,
yeah.
And you're right, I've had guys that I read wrong that would literally try to break your hand.
For sure.
If you went in that route. So it's not like this was something that he wasn't into. It's
Yeah.
not something that he was shocked by.
Yeah.
Shocked by, you don't get excited and you don't unbutton your pants and you don't just sit there and let it happen.
Yeah.
So it definitely wasn't Barack's first time. That much I'm absolutely certain of. And I would almost be willing to bet you it wasn't his last.
So, so you performed oral sex on
I
Barack
did.
Obama. You did. In the driver's up front,
Yep.
and he's cool with this.
The driver has the partition up. He didn't have a problem with it. He didn't put it down for any reason.
I mean, he kind of set up the whole thing for this in the first place.
Exactly. And I have a funny feeling he had no bones to pick with it as far as what took place in it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that escalated really quickly. But what's really sad about this is that Larry Sinclair actually died here in 2025. And in that interview, he also brought up another man connected to Obama named Donald Young. Now, Donald Young was an openly gay choir director at Obama's church, Trinity United, which he eventually separated himself from. He was murdered in 2007, just weeks before Obama announced his presidential run. Now, people inside the church said that Donald told them that he'd been involved with Obama and that he was scared once those rumors started spreading. And Larry Sinclair said he also received a call from Donald Young before Donald's death. Let's go ahead and take a listen to what he said happened on that call. Take a listen.
He said the first calls were, I was led to believe that he was with the campaign. The last conversation that I'd had with Donald Young, he had actually come clean and said that he had been asked to call me and that his job was to get as much information from me as far as who I had spoken to, who I had given any information to, and to get that to them. He had told me to be careful, to watch myself, and to understand that the Barack Obama campaign was not in any way, shape, or form going to acknowledge anything or come out about anything. And he had made it clear that he had known Barack for quite some time and had had an intimate relationship with Barack for quite some time.
He told you that?
Yep. And that's when I knew that I could at least trust what I was being told.
Now, obviously, everything being said here is alleged and speculative, but it's interesting how the gay rumors seem to surround former President Barack Obama. And just when you think that's enough smoke, well, there's a letter that was written in 1982, the one Obama wrote to an ex-girlfriend, where he admitted to imagining relationships with men and exploring what he called same-sex fantasy. The letter resurfaced decades later, and instead of denying it, Obama basically said it was a part of his intellectual exploration. It reads, "You see, I make love to men daily, but in my imagination. My mind is androgynous to a great extent, and I hope to make it more so until I can think of people, not women, as opposed to men." And now when you line all of that up, this 1990s encounter, this 2007 accusation, the choir director's murder, the bathhouse rumors, and Obama's own words, it's not hard to see why people started asking questions. Whether you believe it or not, the story didn't come from the internet. It came from Chicago. And Chicago remembers everything. Not to mention when Obama was in Indonesia as a kid, he had a transgender nanny. I am not kidding. All right, so after all of the gay rumors around Obama started catching fire, people's attention suddenly shifted to Michelle. And this is where things get a little wilder, because once the internet gets a theory, it does not let go. First off, let's start with Joan Rivers. Back in 2014, Joan Rivers was caught on camera saying, quote, "Michelle Obama is a transgender. We all know that already." Not long after that, Joan was suddenly gone, dead after a so-called routine surgery. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that the two are connected, but people online sure made that accusation. That one clip sparked a wave of so-called transvestigations that still haven't stopped to this day. Now, I want you guys to go ahead and take a listen to that clip. Go ahead and take a listen.
Miss Rivers, how are you? You made a ton of news officiating the wedding in New York yesterday. Is this like a new cottage career move for you?
I'm so excited.
Okay.
And I should do very well because I don't charge.
And do you think that the country will see the United States will see the first gay president or the first woman
we
president?
already have it with Obama, so let's just calm down.
Got it.
You know Michelle is a
I'm sorry, she's a what?
a transgender. We all know.
Oh my gosh.
Oh gosh. It's okay. She does the
Now, after that came the rise of what they called the transvestigation movement. Entire online communities became obsessed with analyzing every frame of Michelle Obama's life, her shoulders, her voice, her walk, every single move. And yes, the infamous Ellen Show clip where people claim you can basically see a bulge while she's dancing. I am not saying it's real. I'm saying that's what people saw. And the internet ran with it. It took on a life of its own. Let's go ahead and take a look at that clip. All right, so after that, you started seeing a bunch of clips online going around with Obama calling Michelle Michael, or allegedly calling her Michael. Now, me personally, I watched all of those clips in full context. I think every time there's a reason why he's saying the name Michael, but he is not calling Michelle Michael. I don't know. This is from what I watched. I'm going to show you one of these clips right now, so go ahead and take a listen.
Thank you very much. Secretary Panetta, thank you for your introduction and for your extraordinary leadership. To members of Congress, Vice President Biden, members of the Joint Chiefs, service secretaries, distinguished guests, and men and women of the finest military in the world. And most of all, Admiral Mullen, Deborah. Michael and I also want to acknowledge your son Jack, who's deployed today. All of you have performed extraordinary service to our country.
Now, there's also another clip people like to share where Michelle references herself as a man doing a clip with Marlon Wayans. And the clip was completely taken out of context, at least to me. She was calling herself a man. She was asking him a question about him as a man. And that too, like I said, was taken out of context. But since the clip keeps floating around online, I'm still going to include so you can see it for yourself. So go ahead and take a listen.
Well, speaking of parenting, I wanted to talk, Marlon, a bit about, just so proud of how you are being a role model for dealing with a child that's transgender.
Absolutely.
And that's, that warms my heart, particularly as a Black man. Would you care to share that journey of?
Well, I learned and their transition really taught me what real unconditional love was.
Yep. Now you can decide for yourself, but I want to go ahead and move on to when people started comparing the Obama's daughters to their alleged real parents, Marty and Anita Nesbitt. The theory went into overdrive. Again, I'm not saying it's true. I am saying what people believe when they start connecting the dots themselves. So I want you guys to look at these photos of Marty and Anita Nesbitt. And to me personally, they look like the children. They look exactly like them. And they work very close with the Obamas. So, I mean, to me, you can't tell me there isn't some type of resemblance there between the daughters. It is a little interesting. And to be honest, this right here is probably the closest thing that makes me believe that there might be some lies being told. But that is just me personally. Now, not to mention, Michelle Obama has been open about her receiving IVF to conceive her daughters. Now, I don't know exactly what that means or what that entails or if she actually carried her daughters, but I do know that there are no public photos of Michelle Obama pregnant. Now, I want you guys to go ahead and take a listen to the clip of her saying exactly that. Go ahead and take a listen.
Cutting our health care, taking away our freedom to control our bodies, the freedom to become a mother through IVF like I did, those things are not going to improve the health outcomes of our wives, mothers, and daughters.
Now, if that wasn't enough, Michelle Obama's involvement with Dwayne Wade's family and her public support for his transgender child, Zaya, only reignited the conversation. People started saying, of course she's pushing these messages. Look at her. It became the fuel to the fire. I want you guys to take a look at this interaction between Michelle Obama and Zaya Wade. Take a listen.
Well, what's on your mind? What do you want to know? What do you want to talk about?
Yes, I actually did want to talk to you about, I wanted to ask you one question about your book, which by the way, I have read and I love it. divine. And yes, so I wanted to ask you, what advice do you have for teens who want to be themselves and thrive like you have and currently are?
Well,
You know,
like
also
you
for
have and currently are, you know? I mean, I am just so proud of you, being just an amazing role model and embracing your truth, right?
Now, to be clear, all of this is speculation. None of this is proven facts, but it is a lot going on around them when it comes to the LGBTQ movement and the LGBTQ community, especially with this Joan Rivers clip. I think that is another piece for me that just is like, I don't know what's going on, but they cannot seem to shake this narrative. Now, I know a lot of what we talked about so far have been speculation, rumors, theories, things that make you raise your eyebrows. But let's take a second to talk about things that are not. Let's talk about what Barack Obama actually did for the LGBTQ community during his presidency. Because regardless of what people believe about his personal life, what's undeniable is that no president before or since has done more to advance the LGBTQ agenda than former President Barack Hussein Obama. And even Newsweek acknowledged it, giving him a 2012 cover titled America's First Gay President. Just look at it. It is absolutely obvious where Barack Obama stands when it comes to the gay and trans community. Now, to be clear, that headline wasn't calling him gay. It was praising him for how far he went to elevate and institutionalize LGBTQ priorities in America. These are not rumors. They are official actions, executive orders, and policies that reshape the entire cultural and political landscape of this country. Now, let's go through just the top 10 things he's done for the LGBTQ community. Now, first, he repealed Don't Ask, Don't Tell. He ended the military ban on openly gay and bisexual service member. That decision turned into the U.S. military into the first testing ground for gender and sexual ideology. He also stopped defending the Defense of Marriage Act, ordered the Department of Justice to stop defending it, and that move set the stage for the redefinition of marriage nationwide and pushed federal courts to enforce social compliance. He endorsed same-sex marriage. He was the first sitting president to publicly do so. That statement flipped national sentiment overnight and made opposition to same-sex marriage socially unacceptable. He signed the Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Jr. Hate Crimes Act, expanded federal hate crimes protections to include sexual orientation and gender identity. This blurred the lines between disagreement and discrimination, where speech could suddenly be labeled as hate. He also did an executive order banning LGBTQ discrimination by federal contractors, forced private companies working with the government to adopt LGBTQ non-discrimination rules. That's how corporate America became activist, because compliance became the new morality test. He recognized same-sex marriages for federal benefits, redefined marriage across all federal systems. That redefinition didn't stop at the paperwork. It rewired family law, education, and even adoption standards. He celebrated the Supreme Court marriage equality decision. Obama didn't just endorse the ruling, he lit the White House up in rainbow colors. That night was the visual announcement that the culture war has officially been lost. He also supported the transgender student protection, directed public schools to allow students to use bathrooms aligning with their gender identity. That's why parents are fighting school boards today. It started here, right with Obama. He lifted the ban on transgender military service, allowed transgender individuals to serve openly. That policy normalized identity politics within the national defense, making pronouns more important than performance. And another thing he did was declare the Stonewall in a national monument. He's cemented LGBTQ history in federal memory. That symbolic act redefined civil rights itself, shifting focus from equality under law to identity validation. So while people argue about the rumors, these are the receipts. Obama didn't just support the LGBTQ movement, he institutionalized it. He made it a permanent fixture in American culture, law, and diplomacy. And to be honest, when you look at this list, it's not hard to see why people started asking deeper questions about who Barack Obama really was, not just as a man, but as a symbol. A lot of the things you're seeing right now, men in the girls' bathroom, biological males in women's sport, gender ideology in school, yeah, it started under the Obamas. This is what I'm trying to get everyone to understand. Obama initiated all of this. Everything that is wreaking havoc on us right now, it started with those Obamas. The reason why I'm exposing the Obamas is simple. People need to wake the F up. They are not who they appear to be. They're not on your team, and they're definitely not on God's side. They are here to steer you wrong, to make evil look righteous, to make confusion look progressive, and to make destruction look like hope and change. From gender confusion to the breakdown of the family, even the rival of racial division, it all traces back to this era. Before Obama, people weren't this obsessive with race. He made identity a weapon, and Michelle made dysfunction look inspirational. And together they sold deception in a designer suit. So to be clear, this isn't about rumors. It is about truth. The Obamas left the White House, but their systems didn't. It's still here, rewriting morality, reshaping culture, and calling it progress. And it's time for people to stop worshiping them and start asking questions what they are really representing. I am Carmen, Jaycee. If you're new here, make sure you hit the like or the subscribe button. Or if you want to support the channel, hit the super thanks or the buy me a coffee link below. Also, do not forget to drop a comment for the algorithm. And because I want to hear what you guys have to say, I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys next time.
I'm breaking chains, freeing minds, it's a time to rise. Conscious culture in my veins, yeah, we see through the lies. They telling stories, trying to mold what we thinking inside. But I'm cutting through illusions, showing truth worldwide. They trying to box us in, but we step out the line. Redefining who we are, no longer falling behind. I see the games they playing, how they shape our design. So I'm speaking for the thinkers who refuse to be blind.